Hello and welcome back to Umineko. When last we left off, in the space between the first and second days, we filled in a bit more of the backstory of what happened with Natsuhi 19 years ago. And now we begin day 2 in earnest. The second day, October 5th, 1986. Was it someone's alarm clock? Beep, beep. An electronic tone repeatedly rang out through the room. Battler, who had gone to bed late and not managed to get enough sleep, covered his head in his blanket and waited for someone to turn off the alarm. But no matter how much time passed, the electronic tone didn't stop. I see. The point of an alarm clock isn't just to be loud enough to wake you, but to be annoying enough to keep you from wanting to fall back asleep. Hey, the alarm's going off. Make it stop, please. Why do waking up voices always get this annoyed? Well, it does make sense. After all, people are still sleepy and in a bad mood. However, there was absolutely no sign that my annoyed voice had caused anyone to turn over in their sleep, or crawl out of bed to stop the alarm. Letting out a deep sigh, I stumbled to my feet. With the shutters down on the windows, there was almost no light getting in, and the room was as dim as it had been earlier. Though, even without the shutters, there's no way this dull weather would let in enough sun to make this a pleasant morning. The cousins were still wrapped up in their beds, sound asleep, and taking no notice whatsoever of that beeping. Normally, once any one person gets up, the others tend to automatically follow. Annoyed that this law of serial summer camp awakenings that I'd made up had been broken, I searched for the source of the sound. I could hear it coming from a wristwatch set on a table. Judging by the style of the watch, it was probably George Eniki's. Anyway, when I randomly pushed a small button on the side of it, the sound stopped. Apparently, it had been set for 7 a.m. in the morning. Is it already 7? Sorry, but I really don't feel like I slept at all. Playing cards were left on the table as though they had stopped mid-game. The game had probably been 7s. Damn it, I've got this piercing headache. What the hell happened last night? That mountain of gold and the subsequent argument between the relatives all feel like a bad dream. So stupid. Breakfast normally came at 8. Now wasn't a bad time to start getting up and getting dressed. Even those adults probably won't argue in front of the cousins. In that case, I'll stay with my cousins all day long. I'm sure they'll be able to separate me from all this annoying talk about the gold and being the successor and all. In fact, I should have done this from the beginning. I felt disgusting, having slept with my clothes on last night, which caused me to get all sweaty. I guess I'll take a shower. I'm sure the others want to as well. At this age, it's embarrassing to wake them by shaking their shoulders. If I turn the TV on, everyone will probably wake up. Well, let's at least turn the lights on for now. In this dim light, with the quiet sound of the never-ending wind and rain, it really doesn't feel like morning has come yet. I flipped the light switch, and then that dimly lit morning ended. George, George! This is just too horrible. How could... this is just too horrible. How could anyone get away with something like this? As they clung to Aniki's corpse, which would never wake up again, Aunt Ava and Uncle Hideyoshi cried. That's enough. Do you think George-kun would like the two of you to see him this way? Of course not. Aniki, I know how you feel, but let's have Dr. Nanjo handle this. You don't understand. George was killed. George. Dr. Nanjo's right. We mustn't keep staring at George in such a state. This is for George's sake. We have to restrain ourselves for now. When Aunt Ava tried even harder to cling to that corpse, Dad and Uncle Hideyoshi dragged her away and had a heated debate with her beside the wall. No, George! Dr. Nanjo, help him. If he's lost too much blood, do a blood transfusion. George and I are the same blood type. I beg you. Dr. Nanjo. Eva-san, it pains me to say this, but your blood can't do George-kun any good now. Dr. Nanjo shook his head slightly, then nodded to where I stood, giving me a signal. I softly pulled the blanket up, covering George Aniki's corpse. His neck was split wide open. It was probably larger and deeper than his mouth. Would covering that part up make the corpse look neat and clean? Of course not. The large amount of lost blood stained the bed a horrible red and black. And even covering him with a blanket couldn't hide the traces. After all, even the blanket had large red-black stains, and covering him with it made his corpse look even more gruesome. So I stripped the blanket off of my bed and placed it on top of the first one. But there were only 2 extra blankets, so if we covered one more of the corpses, we wouldn't be able to cover any more. I feel bad about the ones we can't cover. But for some reason, times like these make me feel like muttering, "Don't complain about it being unfair," inside my head. Kirya, put blankets over all of them. Wouldn't want them to catch cold. Sure. Kirya-san and I started covering the other corpses up to their heads with their blankets, just like George Aniki's, so that they wouldn't have to undergo any more shame, with their terrible wounds exposed like this. In one bed rested Jessica. Jessica was exactly the same as George Aniki. Though she appeared to be resting quietly in the bed, her neck had been sliced deep and the wound lay open in a brutal way. Maria was the same. And not only Maria. There was one more victim, lying on the same bed as though they'd been sleeping alongside each other, was Aunt Rosa. George Aniki, Jessica, Maria, and Aunt Rosa. In this room were 4 humans who had been killed, their necks sliced open. They'd probably been like that since last night. I'd returned without noticing anything, gotten in bed, and fallen asleep. All of them had a horizontal cut across their throats. I had been forced to see all the way into the depths of those gashes in everyone's throats. At worst, the wounds might have been deep enough to stretch halfway through their necks. If you tried to open it up, you'd probably be able to see that the gash reached all the way to the bone. The only wounds were the single gashes on each neck. So if you just covered their necks with your hand, you might be able to persuade yourself that they were merely sleeping. But even so, this frighteningly deep wound was incredibly gruesome. There's no such thing as clean or dirty ways of killing. All methods of killing are equally brutal. But even so, the brutality here was just horrible. And there was one more thing that adorned these brutal murders, making them even more unsettling. Drawn very large on the wall was something like an eerie magic circle. It was drawn in a bright red paint that looked like blood, and made it look as though some creepy ceremony had taken place in this room, with the 4 of them offered as human sacrifices. However, that wasn't what we were concerned about. No one has a heart so cold that they could witness the deaths of those close to them and still worry about some scribbles on the wall. No one indeed. But before we get into this, let's look. Not the most appropriate music as we check the death portraits, but Shermia Jessica. Her corpse was found in the cousin's room on the 2nd floor of the guest house. The direct cause of death is unknown, but her neck was sliced open by a sharp blade. The wound was deep enough that anyone could easily confirm her death with absolute certainty. Same, just different, just using he, him pronouns, so they're all the same. Good morning, everyone. Oh, what a wonderful magical circle. The girl who bragged that she drew more pleasure from the process of exposing the truth than the truth itself, and who went so far as to call herself an intellectual violator, appeared in the hall. When she saw the extraordinarily creepy magic circle in this gruesome room, I heard what was unmistakably a sigh of admiration escape her lips. You don't come in here. I just heard about it in the corridor. It's 4 people who've passed away, correct? Allow me to express my sincere regrets. On Erica's face, no, that's not it. It was in her eyes. In Erica's eyes, I could see an indiscreet smile. That was hard to describe. She found this interesting. She found the outbreak of a crime interesting. It was like the smile of a kid off to the side of the stage just before her turn to appear in a school play. Sorry, Erica-chan. We're busy at the moment. Could you wait in your room? Well, we can't have that. It's the detective's right to investigate the scene. We're saying that we have no business with you. Now's the time for outsiders like you to stand back. In my personal opinion, only third-rate mysteries have a suspect who tries to interfere with the investigation and then turns out to be the culprit. Who gives a damn about what you want? Get out! You aren't wanted here. Erica-chan, I'm really sorry, but could you go back to your room? We're busy right now. George! George! What? Stand back. I can't investigate the scene like this. If it's necessary, we'll do it ourselves. The police will do it. Like hell, you have the right to bring more shame to everyone's remains than they've already endured. Detective's authority. The detective has the right to inspect all crime scenes. Stand back, assure me, battler. This is an official privilege of this game, which the human side has accepted. Those words, which seemed to be utterly ridiculous at first, were words of power that had come from a world on a much higher plane than the one they were in. Battler was thrown back by an unseen power and landed on his butt. Struck silent by this quiet intensity, nobody was able to prevent Erica from entering the room, suffocated by this bizarre atmosphere. Don't worry. My goal is not to profane the dignity of the deceased. It's not like I want to peek into something as disgusting as a slit through someone's neck. I want to know something completely different. In other words, who committed these murders? I ask Dr. Nanjo, and everyone else too. In particular, the first one to discover them, Battler-san. There are many things I want to question you about, so I request your cooperation. Like I said, by what authority are you doing this? Because I am the detective. Battler couldn't argue against this incomprehensible nonsense. No, he wasn't permitted to argue. It was a restriction placed on pieces. Erica summoned Dr. Nanjo and heard the details of his preliminary examination of the corpses. Normally, he wouldn't have spoken of that to an outsider so casually. However, for some reason, the atmosphere about the place had become one in which hiding things from Erica was forbidden. Okay, let's enjoy this first twilight of Lambdas. 4 corpses? That's 2 corpses short. Well, she doesn't necessarily need to have 6 people killed, but that's how we've been playing. That girl isn't completely clueless, so she must have killed 2 more people somewhere. On the wall was a magic circle representing the first twilight, similar to the ones in Beato's games. That girl talks tough, but I wonder just how closely she'll be able to imitate Beato. That Hebrew sure is crappy. It isn't written exactly right. What the heck? What's going on? Why is there a magic circle? I'll bet they wanted to copy Beatrice-sama. Ah, what a crappy magic circle. This isn't just a copycat. Some human went out of their way to draw that, so they could make it look like Beatrice-sama did this. Anyway, let's report to Beatrice-sama about this. Even though we're already up to our eyeballs just protecting Goldsmith's secret. What a pain. But these murders have no beauty to them at all. It isn't really a closed room, and there's nothing impossible about it. Such pitiful murders aren't worthy of Beatrice-sama at all. Furuto Erica. An unexpected crime and an unexpected woman. And the unexpected man from 19 years ago. And if you add in the fact that Badley's already solved the epitaph, this game is completely different from normal. What the heck's going on? Let's go. Yes, Onisama. In the kitchen, Goda was preparing a wonderful breakfast at a brisk pace. The main dish would be herb omelets. Even simple foods could become an invigorating feast under Goda's skillful hands. He would pre-cook everything beforehand and prepare the food in the dining hall right before everyone's eyes. Pan, 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 pan. Goda hummed as he continued his work in high spirits. When Shannon, who was helping out, saw Goda like this, her mood also brightened. She arranged the salad in a neat little pattern and showed it to Goda. How is this? I think it makes the tomato look a bit cute. Very nice. You really know what you're doing, Shannon-san. The two happy people gave each other a high five. Shannon didn't like Goda when he was sneaky, but she had no problems at all with him when he was cooking happily. She sometimes even thought it'd be nice if his contract hadn't included any jobs besides cooking. If that had been the case, he wouldn't have had to get in a bad mood doing unnecessary jobs. The dining hall is ready. You can carry it in whenever you want. We're almost good to go, so please get the servant cart ready. Without thinking, even Kumasawa caught Goda's high spirits. The kitchen had a very nice smell and atmosphere about it, truly refreshing for so early in the morning. Then Cannon came back, grumpy even this early in the morning, just like he always was. Cannon and Genji were in charge of getting many things ready for the morning, such as opening the curtains. However, Cannon was alone today, so it had taken much longer than usual. I'm done. Where's Genji-sama? He still isn't here. That's odd. I can't imagine he'd sleep in. Ho ho ho. I guess even Genji-sama sleeps in sometimes. That's rather careless of him, considering that this is the middle of the family conference. Cannon-san, could you wake him for us? Yes. I wonder what Genji-san's face looks like when he's half asleep. Ho ho ho, let me go with you. Even though Goda had asked her to get the servant cart ready, Kumasawa plodded off after Cannon, slyly skipping work. As Cannon muttered about how Goda was the one who slept in all the time, he headed for the servant waiting room. So you didn't wake him up this morning, Cannon-san? Last night, I fell asleep while still in the servant room, so I didn't return to the waiting room. Last night, Cannon had dozed off while in the middle of his late night shift, falling asleep in the servant room. Shannon had been kind enough to put a blanket on him, but that had just made it so warm that he fell into an even deeper sleep. So he hadn't returned to his bed in the servant waiting room the previous night. Because of that, he hadn't met Genji even once this morning. There was a knock on the door. Genji-sama, it's Cannon. Good morning. Oh my, I wonder if he's still sleeping. Pardon me. When he tried to open the door, Kanan noticed something strange on the upper part of it. What's that? Packing tape? A small strip of packing tape was stuck along the frame of the door, almost as though it was sealing the door shut. Furthermore, there were notches made with scissors along the center of the packing tape, so that if you open the door only a slight amount, it would be torn apart. Also written sloppily across the packing tape with a thin pen was what appeared to be someone's signature. It was written in a very intricate and decorative manner, so even if it was a signature, there was no way of telling whose it was. It was probably some sort of prank. I don't get it, but it's no use worrying about it now. Genji-sama, pardon me. The packing tape tore apart and he opened the door. It wasn't as though anything happened when it split, so the two quickly forgot about that strange tape. The room was dimly lit. The lower bed of the 2-level bunk bed still had a lump under the blanket. Apparently, Genji was still sleeping. Good morning, Genji-sama. This isn't like you. Ho 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 ho. It's morning. Genji-sama. What is this? What is this? There was a large red-black stain on the blanket. Even the servants' blankets were always kept clean. A stain like that definitely shouldn't have been there. Kanan hesitantly peeled back Genji's blanket, saw what was left of him, and was shocked into silence. What the heck? His neck's been cut open. It's thin. You wouldn't be able to leave it cut this deep without a fairly long blade. What's going on? Battler solved the riddle of the epitaph, right? Why are there murders happening? I don't know. In any event, this isn't good. We should report this to Beatrice-sama. We should report this to Beatrice-sama and Natsuhi-sama. Belfa, hurry and report it to Lucine. Understood. After dashing out, Kumasawa called Goda and Shannon over. Then, this new pair let out screams identical to the first two. No! Don't stop making breakfast, Goda! Is now really the time to be saying that? There's no chance they'll have a quiet and peaceful breakfast on the second day. I have a bad feeling about this. Genji might not be the only one. Let's check the entire mansion. Something else might have happened. Yes, Oni-sama. Natsuhi sprang awake at the sudden sound of the phone. Even Natsuhi was surprised that she'd woken up. She'd thought she'd spent the whole night unable to sleep out of fear that the mysterious man might come in at any moment, but she dozed off before she knew it. Of course, Natsuhi still didn't feel rested at all, though she groaned from the dull pain in her head, which hadn't gone away once since last night. She managed to get out of bed. Morning, Natsuhi-sama. Morning. And what a horrible morning it is. Don't worry. No one tried to enter this room. I see. Thanks for keeping watch all night. Even so, that didn't mean she'd been able to sleep peacefully. The continued ringing of the phone made her headache throb even more strongly. I think you should probably answer the phone. And then, I've got some bad news to report from my sisters. Let's leave the bad news for later. I'll answer the phone first. Natsuhi shook her head to wake herself and picked up the receiver. Then, she regretted not listening to Lucifer's bad news first, because she wanted the first thing she heard on this horrible morning to be something better than this. Morning, Mother. Did you sleep well? That voice told her that this horrible morning, this nightmare, would not stop. I kept my promise. I've been holed up in this room the whole time. Of course, I haven't been on the phone either. But you did pick up the phone just now, did you not? Well, Just kidding. This is just a morning call I am giving my beloved mother. Morning, Mother? How far do you intend to mock me? Natsuhi gripped the receiver so hard it creaked. I wanted you to leave your seat so that I could set up for the party. Thanks to that, everything is ready now. Of course, you are the main guest, Mother. What are you planning to do? That is for you to look forward to. Do not worry. I will not keep you waiting. It has already begun. Oh right, wait a sec. There is someone I want you to hear. Huh? There was the sound of the receiver being jolted around. The phone was apparently being passed to someone else, but there was a clunking, clattering noise, as though it was taking a lot of effort to hand the receiver over. Who in the world could he be giving the phone to? No matter who this man gives the phone to, that can't be good news for me. What? Untie me, coward. Huh? Dear? Is that you? Untie it. Untie it. It was, without a doubt, the voice of her husband. However, he didn't respond to Natsuhi's voice. Perhaps he was bound somewhere in the darkness. Kraus, not realizing that Natsuhi was on the other end of the phone, repeatedly demanded that he be untied. Your husband is here. His eyes and ears are covered so you won't be able to talk. But I think you can tell that he is in perfect health. What are you after? Let my husband go. I will let him go tomorrow. If you keep 2 promises, that is. What are they? One is that you keep it a secret that I have your husband in my care. There will probably be a fuss when they are unable to find Kraus anywhere in the mansion. But you know nothing, so you will say nothing. Understand? I understand. What's your other condition? Oh, just a little game. At 1 o'clock today, you will go into the foremost guest room on the first floor of the mansion and hide in the closet. A guest room? Why should I go into a closet? Just a little hide and seek. If you can hide there for an hour without anyone finding you, you win. If someone does find you, you lose.
And if I lose, what happens?
Nothing in particular. Is that not what playing is all about? If you play along with this hide and seek, I'll release your husband tomorrow.
Will you really? Keep that promise, I wonder?
Of course. Make sure you do too, Mother. If you break our promise, I will know right away. At that time, there was suddenly a loud knock on the door to Natsuhi's room. Her heart leapt automatically.
Madam, are you there? Good morning.
It's Goda and Kanon. Madam, please wake up. The voices coming from across the door were Kanon's and Goda's. The knock had been wild and the voices a little shrill. It seemed that something strange had happened, and that they were agitated.
What is it? Did something happen?
It's nothing. It looks like the servants have arrived. Oh. The first one was the voice on the line, and this one's Natsu. What is it? Did something happen?
It's nothing. It looks like the servants have arrived. I'm hanging up.
Sure. I have said everything I wanted to. So, do not break our promise.
I understand. And you don't break our promise either.
You have it wrong. That is for you to decide, Mother. Do not make me break my promise, Mother. I will be watching you all day today, Mother. Clank. Lambda Delta slammed the receiver down on the antique phone. Then, the phone exploded into bits and became a golden splash. Then a cloud of gold butterflies, and then disappeared. Dance for me, Nazi. Dance in fear of your sin 19 years ago. My turn's going pretty well. Okay, your turn now, Burn. I'm sure this is a waste of time, but let me confirm whether correspondence with the outside world, including reporting this to the police, is possible or not. It's impossible to make use of the external line. Looks like you can use the internal line. It's impossible to use a boat inside the typhoon. I guess the closed circle is complete now. Congrats, you're a full detective now, Burn. When the police intervene, they sometimes steal some of the detective's authority. However, with the construction of the closed circle, the existence of the police had been denied for all eternity. From now on, the authority of the detective piece will be totally guaranteed.
Yeah, thanks a bunch. Then I guess it's time to get this game started.
Erica, you're the main character. Now, begin.
Even Genshin-san? Five people have been killed?
Yes. And it was so horrible.
It was exactly the same as the four in the guest house. The neck was sliced open with a terribly sharp blade. To think that even though I had the midnight shift, I didn't notice anyone suspicious.
Don't blame yourself. If you'd bumped into the culprit, you might be the one dead right now.
On top of that, the phones aren't even connecting. I doubt any boats will come in this weather. This is serious.
And that makes it very likely the culprit's still nearby.
Then what? Does that mean we'll be trapped here with a murderer until the typhoon passes and the boat comes?
It'll be okay. If we all stay together like this, even the culprit won't be able to lay a finger on us.
Even Jessica. I can't believe it.
We won't let ourselves be killed. I'll avenge George. I won't let them get away. No matter who the culprit is or what their reason was, I won't let the one who killed George get away. I'll kill them. I'll kill them. Wow. Okay, everyone. Are you done crying yet? Silence, please. Has anyone seen Kraus-san yet? We've been calling him for a while, but he hasn't answered.
Could the receiver be off the hook?
No, we could hear it ringing. There's no way he didn't hear it.
What does it mean? You don't think Uncle Kraus too?
Figures. I hate to say it at a time like this, but there were 4 in the guest house, plus Genji to make it 5. I figured there would be 1 more.
Why? How could you know that? Are you the culprit? Did you kill George? Stop it, Eva-san. Now is not the time.
Eva got agitated and grabbed at Kyrie. Nanjo stepped in between them, and it grew into a bit of a scuffle. Watching this, Erica smiled condescendingly and shrugged. Of course. It's natural you'd guess there were 6 victims after seeing the crime scene in the guest house. There were only 4 corpses, so it'd make you wonder who the other 2 were.
How could you know such a thing?
You killed them? You killed George?
Quit it, Eva. Erica-chan, Kiryu-san. How can you know that? Can't you think before you talk?
It's a simple connection to make. The scribble drawn at the scene of the crime in the guest house was a magic circle. I just tried to think of things connected to both magic and murders.
Ah, so it's the epitaph, huh? I see. It's the first Twilight. Huh? What's going on? Well, I don't have a clue either. Is that how it is? That damn witch.
So, is this really Beatrice-sama's doing? Why do you all keep talking as if you know something? I don't have a clue. Someone explain.
I told you, Eva, calm down a bit.
And that's how it is. Ever since I saw the magic circle at that crime scene, I imagined this might be a plotline murder following the epitaph's first Twilight, which would mean there are 6 victims. Simply by the existence of the magic circle in that place, this level of reasoning is possible for Furudo Erica. What do you think, everyone?
So, Uncle Kraus was also killed?
We can't be sure of that. Krasan isn't the only person who hasn't come here, right? There's 1 more. For just an instant, Natsuhi's brow furrowed. So, she hadn't been able to avoid the topic of the study after all.
You don't mean Dad? Oh wait, that wouldn't have been badly. You don't mean Dad? Hey, someone must have contacted the study, right?
Of course we called, and even knocked on the door, but there was no answer.
Father is immersing himself in his research. He sometimes leaves the receiver off the hook because he doesn't want to be called, and even ignores any knocking.
But the phone was ringing.
Anyway, let's first check to see that my husband's safe. Let's go to his room.
Natsuhi stood up in a flurry and dashed out into the corridor. Rudolph and the others immediately chased after her, telling her to wait. Come on, let's all go together. In both third-rate mysteries and third-rate horrors, people who act alone tend to die first. Yeah, this game is just the same. Beato really is third-rate. Oh, but in third-rate disaster movies and third-rate action movies, people who act alone do survive, right? Weird. Even though the epitaph has already been solved, who's behind this farce?
It might be the work of the man from 19 years ago, who is thought to be Lady Lambda Delta's piece. Oh yes, that can't be true.
In the games up until now, Beato has already stated that Kinzo has vanished. Meaning that no more than 17 people exist and no 18th person exists. Now that Erica has been added, it's been stated that no 19th person exists. There's no room for this man from 19 years ago to appear on the island.
So, the man from 19 years ago is disguised as one of the existing humans. Or else...
Even if a 19th person isn't permitted by the red, slipping in a 19th person is no trouble for me. No trouble for witches. Now it's getting interesting. Why don't we watch this a little longer? Still, those two witches have finally started to do with whatever they please with my game board, haven't they?
Didn't you know that would happen when you invited them?
As a witch, I have the same dislike for boredom as they do. Even the unexpected brings the kind of joy a witch expects. Very well, bring it on. It's great that you're so eager, when things have taken a nasty turn. Get it?
Indeed. Perhaps this isn't the best time to wait and see what happens next.
I know that. At this rate, Kinzo's existence will become an issue once again, and the barrier around the study won't last long. That isn't all. Things are going to get even worse. See? Move 1, move 2, move 3, and then you're cornered. Natsuhi. Gop whispered something into Beato's ear. Beato's mouth slowly widened into a grin.
Erica bringing everyone together is actually convenient for us.
All darkness outside the range of observers belongs to us demons. This may be the only time to make that move. Natsuhi is the king. She can't move far, but we cannot allow her to be taken. Let's take the initiative. If we slip up here, Natsuhi will be cornered. Gop, Can I count on you? Of course. I'll blow a hole through closed room tricks, alibis, and mysteries alike. Leave it to me. I'll handle it. Gop was swallowed up, along with the chair she sat in, into a pitch-black hole that opened on the floor and then disappeared. After that, a hole opened on the ceiling and spat just the chair back out, returning the place to the way it had been. This is becoming troublesome. I see. Against Lady Lambda Delta, even I am nothing more than a mere piece. So, in the early game, I must worry more about expansion than losing or taking pieces. I'm just no match for that person. I won't let her do that. Natsuhi is the final master I will serve. Know that this is a piece you'll never be allowed to take. So long as she has a contract with me, Beatrice. Kreis's room was empty. The bed was too. But massive bloodstains, similar to the other crime scenes, remained. But there was no corpse. Nope. Then he isn't dead. Maybe not. What's going on? Where's Nissan? Judging by this bloodstained bed, I don't like to think about it, but we should probably assume that he was killed and had his neck cut open, just like the people in the guest house. Probably. Judging by the amount of blood lost, it's hard to imagine that he's okay. But where did Crass... I have no idea who's saying this. Where did Crass-sama go? Oh, a little update. Large amounts of blood stained the top of the bed, but there were no similar marks on the floor of the room. Whether Kraus had been seriously wounded and wandered off somewhere, or killed and carried somewhere, they had no clue where this somewhere might be. Natsuhi knew. Though Kraus had been sounding far from his best over the phone, at least he hadn't sounded like he was on the brink of death. In other words, these bloodstains had to be a setup. That might not even be blood. However, just what was that man thinking? What's this supposed to be? What the heck? So, on the first Twilight, there were 6 sacrifices? Was Kraus Nissan in the habit of locking his door? We just came in without unlocking it. Yes, Kraus-sama also has a habit of locking up. At this house, Madam has ordered that all non-public areas be locked. How many keys can unlock Uncle Kraus's room? In addition to the 1 key Kraus-sama held, there's the master keys. All that stuff about keys is a pointless argument. Did you forget that Genji-san is already a victim? His master key is missing. That means all the locks in this mansion are meaningless. How boring. In other words, no closed room murders have existed or will exist in this mansion. Sheesh. This is getting to be a pretty boring mystery. Erica laughed off this murder in disappointment, as though it was something she was watching on TV. I can't understand it. Why is her world so different from ours? It's almost like she's in a separate dimension from us.
Was Jessica also like this? In a bed?
Yes, that's right. Just like George, her neck was cut.
Jessica. Let me be with Jessica. I haven't even seen Jessica's face yet. Jessica! Jessica!
Wait up, Natsuhi-san. The culprit might still be hiding nearby. It would be dangerous to let her be alone. Natsuhi flew out of the room and dashed towards the guest house this time. It was only natural. Natsuhi still hadn't even seen Jessica's dying face. Everyone probably thought that. Of course, even Natsuhi was half thinking that. The other half was her desire to shift everyone else's attention away from the study. Strange crimes had occurred, the gold had been discovered, and some relatives had even recommended Battler to be the successor. Even in these twisted circumstances, she had to protect Kinzo's secret. If my head is going to be racked by this suffering anyway, please, just let my head explode right now. That way, I won't have to suffer any longer. So everyone, for Natsuhi-san's sake, let's return to the guest house for the time being. No, it's not as though seeing their dead faces is going to lead to any new developments. Do you even have a heart? A heart? What's that? Just seeing her daughter's dead face wouldn't bring Jessica back to life, nor would it heal Natsuhi's anguish. On the contrary, she would probably wail, wasting a considerable amount of time before being able to think properly again. This probably sums up Erika's screwed up argument. Just seeing their dying faces won't lead to any new developments? Like hell it won't. Byado's pieces have brought about a really interesting change.
What in the...
Natsuhi flew into the cousin room on the second floor of the guest house, and was struck dumb by the blood-stained beds and the eerie magic circle, which looked like it might have been drawn with the victim's blood.
Where is Jessica? Where is she? Jessica?
In that bed.
A bed? Where?
Huh? George? Where is he? Wait a sec. What the hell is going on here? We made sure to lock this room when we left, right? We can now be certain the culprit has a master key. Once again, this is Erika. We made sure to lock this room when we left, right? We can now be certain the culprit has a master key. Once again, my reasoning was correct. Who cares about that? Where did they go? Where did everyone's corpses go? Before I forget, let me look at Krause's disappearance profile. Assure me Krause went missing from his personal room on the second floor of the mansion. There were large traces of blood left behind, making the situation similar to those of the other victims. He is the only victim of the first Twilight whose corpse was never witnessed. Heh. Nice trick. Hey, look, it's magic, right? That Gop who's with Byado hid the corpses somewhere with magic. All of us moved together. So you're trying to say that everyone had alibis? Your reasoning goes like this, right? The four of them weren't actually dead. They were just playing dead. Then, when no one else was around, they hid somewhere. Am I right? You don't intend to proclaim any of their deaths in red now, do you? Of course I won't. I'm like that dolt Vito. I don't give out red for free. In that case, I'll be glad to use the blue truth. I can think of many ways to work around something of this level. Sure, go ahead. Blue truth time. Here's the first one I can think of. The victims aren't actually dead. They pretended to be dead, then secretly hid themselves somewhere. After all, you haven't proclaimed anyone's deaths with the red truth. Ahaha! Even though you've been shown their gaping wounds, you're still trying that one on principle? As long as there's no red, right? But don't get your hopes up. I'm not giving you a freebie red truth. After all, I just have to deny it all at once at the end of the game, at midnight on October 5th. The witch's side has such a big advantage. It would be all over now if that stupid Balor was my opponent. But you aren't like that, right, Byrne? Of course. Anyone could have thought of that silly move. I have more. Second one. Kraus carried the corpses off and hid them. You've acted it out so that it looks like you've kidnapped Kraus and locked him up somewhere, but he might actually be free. Kraus has no alibi. Kraus hid their corpses. Yeah, that's right. It's not like I proclaimed that Kraus was being confined with the red truth. You know how they say you've always got to confuse your friends before you can confuse your enemies. So he lied to Natsuhi, making it seem like he'd been captured? Any others? Third one. The corpses were different people in the first place. They were substitute corpses that closely resembled the victims. George and the others were hiding from the beginning and later cleared up those substitute corpses. These corpses were dead from the very beginning, so they don't count towards the number of people on the island. That's messed up. So even though all those people gathered around and saw their dead faces, none of them realized they were substitute corpses? Since you haven't used the red truth, there's a possibility that everyone misidentified all of the corpses. Though if you feel like repeating, no one would misidentify a person, I'll withdraw that claim immediately, okay? No way! I'm not falling for that. The red truth's only useful if you use it with flash, right? I'll take a single truth out of a large pile of blue and smash it with the red. Then, the rest of the blue truths will be swallowed up by darkness before you can find out whether they were right or wrong. That darkness is the world of witches. You won't be given any truth at all. This girl acts like she's stupid, but she's not bad at all. She'll never rise to provocation. Looks like she understands the darkness of magic even better than the true game master, Beato. And apparently, Gop also understood that well. That move of hiding the corpses. It was pretty effective for both Lambda and Beato. In any event, I've thought up a full 3 theories about the disappearing corpses. 3 blue wedges for a single riddle. That doesn't mean she can just deny one of those 3. Unless she eliminates all 3 wedges, this riddle has been defeated. That's the ironclad rule of witch hunting. A single wedge isn't nearly enough. Only vampires die from a single stake. Compared to witches, vampires are weak. True witches won't die unless you stab them all over with stakes, right? It's the same with assassins, isn't it? It's only in Japanese manga that you see assassins kill their targets with a single, perfect shot. Real assassins will empty out an entire magazine's worth of bullets. That's how you do things, right? Of course, it's the same for me. But it's this girl we're talking about, so she might slice it all in two with a single swipe of the red. By simply letting off a few quick lines confirming their deaths and Krause's innocence with the red, she can remove all 3 of my wedges. Well, that's okay. When the red truth does come out, I just need to follow along with it and stab her full of blue wedges again. This is how a game of witches plays out. It's so fun. Battler's sluggish battles always pissed me off, so I'm loving this. Yeah, I understand, Lambda. This first Twilight is just the beginning of the beginning. It's just a skirmish, right? Wouldn't have it any other way. I'll make you lose pathetically and cry out in regret as you crawl and scratch at the floor. I've almost forgotten the pleasure of grabbing that cute hair of yours and wiping the floor with it as I roll around laughing. The servant waiting room in the mansion had once again gone silent. There lay Genji's corpse, which had been covered completely with a blanket. In the ceiling of this cramped room, a pitch-black hole appeared. Captivating legs spread it out, and Gop floated downwards. Sorry, Genji. You probably want to enjoy your eternal sleep right there, but that's not going to be possible. Please disappear from this place so you may serve Natsuhi, the final head of the Ashuramiya family, even after death. Gop stripped off the blanket as she said this to Genji, who was sleeping peacefully. Then she stared at the deep wound in his neck. That's a nice cut. It must have been made with a single slice. Has anyone who's capable of this manifested yet? Not good. I can't think of anyone decent who might be capable of this. It goes without saying, but witches are capable of summoning beings with a strength proportional to their own ability. The great Lady Lambda Delta called that being here as a trump card 19th person. Even optimistically speaking, this is on par with Runaway and me. A pitch-black hole opened on the bed, and Genji disappeared as though the bed had swallowed him up. Just like the 4 in the guest house, Genji's corpse was also hidden in some unknown place. It was a place that no one could find, located neither within this world nor the next. No longer would anyone be able to find their corpses. No longer would anyone be able to confirm their deaths. She carried Genji's corpse to this place of endless silence, where it would never be disturbed. When there's no corpse, a person goes missing. When a person's missing, people would suspect that they might be the culprit and suspect that they might be victims. Truly like the inside of a cat box. The darkness inside cat boxes that'll never be opened is where we demons and witches reside. You're a bit too slow, Miss Great Detective. Gop licked her lips and gulped. I wonder why Gap-sama is going around hiding corpses. I don't know, but Gap-sama's pretty cool. She's just so awesome. Don't be stupid. What happened to standing guard? The humans are returning from the guest house. Gap-sama. Yes, let's disperse. This should be enough to give Natsuhi a way out.
Garp jumped into a pitch-black hole that had opened near her feet. Mammon said, "I'm going in too," and jumped in, followed by Asmo, who said, me too," and hopped in, giggling. As Satan hesitated over what to do, the hole closed. "And you call yourselves members of the Seven Sisters of Purgatory? How childish. So stupid." Satan went bright red and got angry all by herself, then turned into gold butterflies and disappeared. It seems Garp has succeeded in moving the 5 corpses. Well done. However, the next part is tricky. They will probably be somewhat surprised at the disappearance of Genji's corpse, but their interest will most likely swing back to Kinzo's study after that. There are 2 keys to the study. It's fortunate the Natsuhi is in possession of both. If she had left one with Genji, it would probably have fallen into Lady Lambda Delta's hands by now. It seems that Lady Lambda Delta has no intention of hiding Kinzo's death. Apparently, she plans to fight while ignoring the moat, towers, and ramparts that you have created. This has become a strange triangular confrontation. We are all each other's enemies, but we will sometimes join forces without notice. In a 3-way fight, just when you think it's 2 against 1, it suddenly becomes 1 against 2. That's what it's like. That Chinese battle royale. Don't you think it's like that Records of the 3 Kingdoms thing? Oh, the Longzhong plan. That's quite a sophisticated analogy to hear coming from you. There were 3 empires in Records of the 3 Kingdoms, weren't there? Wei, Wu, and Shu, right? And that sounds just like us. So, which empire won out in the end? The power that gained control in the end was the Jin dynasty. The 3 empires you mentioned were all destroyed. Oh, I didn't know that. I thought one of the 3 empires won. Didn't the Wei have an overwhelming advantage? They had the position of emperor stolen from them, and their empire was subjugated and destroyed. The Sima clan, a noble family that Cao Cao invited in as advisors, eventually gained central control in a power struggle and took over the country. So they were invited in as advisors, and they seized control. Very interesting. That Lady Lambda Delta. Pardon me. The humans have confirmed the disappearance of Genji's corpse in the servant waiting room. They have started moving towards Lord Goldsmith's study. Reach it. And they're coming. Let them come. The humans, and the witches of certainty, and miracles. If this is a 3-way fight, then we've got humans, witches, and... what should we be called? If the thing we're protecting for the time being is Kinzo's phantom, so are we phantoms then? And that is going to do it for this video. We are truly in it now, as things are popping off, but we have not gotten to where this episode started yet. Because there's going to be a confrontation in a parlor room. And I think it'll be soon. But how soon remains to be seen. Until then, thank you for watching, and see you next time.